Hey guys, welcome to the 101. This is our first episode of Footnotes, and I have a hat on because this is a different day.
But you have the same shirt on.
Now it's a different day.
Oh, now you ran it and wanted it back. I guess you finally realized she's everything that you wanted to have, the thing you chase for the rest of your life. 'Cause now she's out living life on the...
Okay, so welcome to Footnotes. These are more bite-sized videos where we're just going to go through more specific topics. So as mentioned yesterday, today is about neutral density filters and white balance. So let's get into it. Neutral density filters, or more commonly referred to as ND filters, are basically sunglasses for your camera lens. They come in many different shapes and sizes, so you might see screw-on filters that go just twist on. Come on, man. Don't do that right now. Welcome to the helicopter show. So ND filters come in all shapes and sizes. You'll see kind of more rectangular ones that are for matte boxes, and those are those cool looking things that go on the front of a camera. And you'll see circular ones that essentially screw on to the front of your lens. The way they are measured are by stops of light in increments of 0.3. So 0.3 is one stop, 0.6 is 2, 0.9, 1.2, so on and so forth. Or you might see variable ND filters, which essentially once they're on the front of your lens, you can twist them to taste. So the image will get brighter or darker as you twist. So I won't get into it too much. Those of you that already know what they are probably just know what they are. So I'm going to cater a little bit to the beginners here and just say I would pick up a variable ND filter to screw onto the front of your lens. This is going to help with what we talked about yesterday when you're in a scenario where you can't control the light, it's a little too bright, but you really want to shoot at that lower f-stop of 2.8 or 4. You put an ND filter on and you can lower the light level coming into your camera so you can get those settings that you want. If you have any more questions about ND filtration, definitely leave them in the notes below. We can continue to talk about the benefits of them, but for now I thought, let's keep it simple. That's essentially what ND filters are, and if you're a cinematographer, you will need them. Okay, this one's a little more hefty, white balance. So let's start for the beginners. White balance is essentially your camera rating what should appear as white depending on the color temperature of the light coming through it. Okay, I know that sounded a little confusing, but let's look at it this way. There's two main ones. There's daylight and there's tungsten. Daylight is obviously sunlight. So if it's bright outside right now, take your hand and put it by a window and look at the type of light that's coming onto your hand, and it's white light. That light is generally rated at 55 or 5600 Kelvin. Okay, but let's say it's dark out and you're in your apartment and you turn a light on and you might have a tungsten bulb in there. Well, do the same thing. Take your hand, look at the light, and you'll see that it's warmer on the skin, and that's because the Kelvin temperature is lower, which is warmer, generally about 3200 Kelvin. So essentially your camera has settings to adjust to those specific types of color temperatures. So if you're shooting outside, you want to set your camera to daylight or 5600 Kelvin, and that's going to balance the color temperature to that light. And then if you're shooting with tungsten lights, theoretically you want to shoot at 3200 Kelvin to balance to that. If you don't see the actual numbers, you might see symbols. So it'll have a little sun with little rays, and it's super cute, and it's like really nice, and I like it a lot. Or you'll see a little light bulb. So the little light bulb is tungsten, 3200 Kelvin, and the sun with the rays is 5600 Kelvin for daylight. So just make sure to check those settings, make sure to see what type of light you're shooting in, and then adjust your white balance accordingly. And for those that aren't quite beginners, well, I personally use white balance as the way that I see the world. My cameras almost never go below 4300 Kelvin. Right now, we're shooting at 4500 Kelvin, and I have a tungsten lamp on me that's 3200. But I also have this green, and I have to find a way to mix and match those in a way that's pleasing to my eye. I basically never white balance to 3200 Kelvin because to me, tungsten reads warm. I think it looks warm in real life, so I want to keep it warm. I also do a lot of scenes where there might be daylight and tungsten mixed together. So here's a general rule of thumb. I know it's kind of confusing because you kind of have to think about it backwards. If it's daylight out, or if you have a daylight balanced light fixture, the lower your white balance goes, the bluer or cooler that light will become. So if you're outside and you set your white balance at 3200 Kelvin, your image is going to be very blue. I know that's weird because lower is warmer, but you're rating your camera to read it that way, and that so oh God. Don't overthink it. Just know that if it's daylight, lower the white balance, bluer the image. If it's tungsten, raise the white balance, warmer the image. Here's some simple examples to showcase it. The reason this is going to help you is when you're mixing different color temperatures and you want to find that kind of nice balance, or for artistic reasons. You might want your image to be more blue or more warm. It's up to you. And that's the fun part. It's up to you to make mistakes and learn accordingly. I'm off the hook. See you Friday.